Okay, so pages 11 through 20 of Infinite Jest. Here we go. Okay, so we found out that the end of the end of that meeting basically ended up with Hal, who I guess is the name of the protagonist. I guess he goes by Harold, but I guess he goes by Hal. Apparently had some type of like a seizure where his arms just kind of started flailing, or he started flailing a whole bunch. So everybody started freaking out in the room, and they basically pinned him down into the men's bathroom, which the author had a whole bunch to say about men's bathrooms. And then following that, it did kind of like a weird, another like cut back to flashback to childhood, where he ended up, he found and he ate like a pile of mold from from the basement, and he came out as like a little kid, and he's like, I ate this, and the mom started freaking out, and then it just cuts right back into him being on the bathroom, and then eventually they end up taking him to a psychiatric ambulance, and kind of took him away, and then I forget what the exact transition was, but it was just a complete break. So we don't know if it's necessarily the same person or not, if it's Hal or not, but it's talking about somebody who had quit smoking weed and was now waiting in a parking lot for somebody who was like 3 hours late to be picking up weed, because he had gone through the process of telling all of his friends who knew that he smoked weed, hey, I'm not smoking weed anymore. He told all of his dealers, hey, I'm not smoking weed anymore, so don't sell me anything. He throws away all of his pipes. He throws away all the things that would be part of the ritual of smoking weed. But as an addict, he is basically just kind of coming back, and he's finding ways of not talking to people who talk to people who talk to people about how he might be able to get some weed, because he's very prideful in that sense, and doesn't want to be seen as weak or anything else like that. So that's basically how this whole next 10 pages goes. He goes through this whole process about talking about all the things that he's done to kind of cut ties with his addiction, and then basically he's just waiting there for and talking about his plans for when he gets this huge amount of weed that he's going to be getting. I think it was like several $100s worth basically, and he was planning on just kind of shutting everything up and up in his house and not talking to anybody, telling everybody he's going to go out of town and basically just get blow out his mind of with weed, and basically cover up the windows and do all that kind of stuff. So that's where we're at for the next 10 pages. Let's go over some of the words that I had to look up because there were a good amount of them. So one of them was sheaf or chef, SHEAF. So it can be a quantity of stalks or ears of wheat or something like that, kind of like bound together. But I think that what it was actually referring to is just a large number, which is also one of the other definitions. So it's a large number. And then another one was infilade. Yeah, infilade. Which has two different meanings. Enfilade, ENFILADE, a volley of gunfire directed at along a line from end to end, or a suite of rooms with doorways in line with each other. Okay, so I guess that would be like any hotel or anything else like that. The next was kind of a funny word. It was waggle, WAGGLE, move or cause to move with short, quick movements from side to side or up or down. So basically just like wiggle, but I don't understand why it's called waggle. WAGGLE, whatever. Another one, when he was pinned down onto the ground, he talked about seeing somebody's espadrilles. And it's a type of shoe that has, they usually have it's like a canvas top, and then they often have, let me go through like a little image here, because I know that everybody's seen these types of shoes. Yeah, so those are espadrilles. Okay, and then the last one that I had to look up was hypophalangeal. And hypophalangeal, now this is actually where you could actually break it down, because it's all Latin. So hypo, the opposite of hyper, meaning so you're actually down. or you're low. Hyper is the opposite of hyper. So hypo, so you're down or you're missing something. Phalangeal, so phalanges, like basically like your digits, your fingers. So hypophalangeal is basically like you're missing one of your fingers. Yeah, so that's literally all that it was saying, but I'd never actually seen the word before, but you can kind of break it down and kind of figure it out. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. We're going to jump into the next 10 pages and we'll see what ends up happening. But I definitely think that going with how dense the reading is, doing these types of little summaries over, a daily basis of 10 pages, like, okay, this is kind of what's going on, because it seems to be like it might be a book of where things are kind of jumping around quite a bit. And we don't necessarily know which storyline or protagonist that we're going to be following at any given time. So I'll keep you updated. We'll get this moving a little bit more, and thanks for watching.